Hi there, welcome to my channel. I would like us to continue today a conversation that we began last time on social justice and why it's integral to our Christian walk, why it is an important part, I should say, of our Christian walk. If you will allow me, I would like to share with you from the book of Matthew, chapter 25, and verse 31 to 45. I'm not going to read the whole of it, but I'll just tell you the gist of it. And since you're at home or wherever you're watching from, I hope that you will grab your Bible and read it for yourself. This is a parable of what we call the sheep and the goats. It is a parable that is found after the disciples have asked Jesus when he will be coming back again, and basically the timings. When is he coming back again, and how will they know the signs of his second coming? And as Christians, because this is a very foundational part of our faith, the fact that we are waiting for Jesus to come back and take us home, our heavenly home, it is important that we pay attention to all the things that Jesus said. One of the things that he was very categorical about is that we do not know the day of or the time. And as he is explaining this to the disciples, and as he is explaining it to you and me today, by extension, it is integral for us to know that he very specifically says nobody knows the day or the time. He says only the Father knows that. And then he goes into a series of parables that are demonstrate exactly what we should be doing while we are waiting. Now he goes into he explains the signs of the times in chapter 24 of Matthew, and then he specifically says that we do not know the day or the time, and then he goes into the parable of the 10 maidens, or the 10 virgins, and how they weren't, some of them were not prepared. And then he goes into the parable of the talents. And then he comes to this passage that we have today, the parable of the sheep and the goats. And this is where we find the idea that the good people will be separated from the bad people. The sheep and the goats will be divided, and people will be held to task for the things that they did and the things that they did not do while they were here on earth. It is, as I was reading this, it is important to note that when he was talking to the quote unquote the righteous people, he was very specific when he was telling them what it is that he did for them, because there was genuine shock. You can hear it in the questions that they're asking, because when Jesus separates and he tells them, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father," that is verse 34. "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me to drink. I was hungry and you gave me to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me." And then verse 37, the righteous ask him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink?" They ask him when all these things, they actually lay it down for him. And they're like, "When did we see you?" And then Jesus says in verse 40, "The king will reply, I tell you the truth. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me." And again, the same scenario plays out with those on his left, or quote unquote the wicked ones. He says, "Depart from me, you are cursed." And they also ask him the same question in verse 44. "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick, and we did not help you?" They are genuinely asking the question that they did not see Jesus. But you see, that is a lesson for us today, is that even as Jesus is naming these things, these are not necessarily things that can be found in the 10 commandments, okay? There is no commandment that says thou shalt feed all the people, or thou shalt clothe the hungry, or clothe the poor, or when you have a stranger, invite them in, these are not things that are necessarily found in the Ten Commandments. And that is a trap that we have to be careful as Christians not to fall into. Because sometimes, and I know for myself this is true, that as a young Christian, I was more focused on what Christianity did not want me to do, okay, than what it allowed me to do. And you see, when you are focused on what you're not supposed to be doing, guess what? Those are the things that you end up doing. There is literal freedom in Christianity. There is literal freedom in your relationship with Christ. And so whenever you are in a relationship with Christ, it's not just as with every other relationship. It's not about what you can or cannot do. It's about the free expression of love and affection that you have for that person. And so Christianity is just that. It is tapping into the love, the deep and unconditional love and affection that Christ has for you and for me. And in that, being able to express that love to others. It is true that what comes out of us is what is inside of us. We outwardly express what is inside of us. And so if we cannot even be bothered by the things and the people who are around us that need our help, then that does not bode well for whatever Christian walk that we believe that we are on. Because what Christianity is at its core, and I believe that this is a point that Christ is making in this place, in this passage, is that Christianity at its core, it's about being. What are we? How are we being more like Christ? How are we being representatives of Christ? How are we being his hands and his feet and the mirror to others of who Christ is in our lives? Whenever we are thinking about all the things that we shouldn't do or cannot do, then we miss the point. Because what the expression of this love relationship with Christ should be is that we are then able to express to others the deep and unconditional, never failing love that Christ has bestowed upon us. And when we truly understand that, then we can never be comfortable when others around us are uncomfortable. And that is the essential message of Christianity. That is the essential message of why social justice is an integral part of our Christian walk, is that we will not be happy when other people are unfairly treated in our presence, when other people cannot receive that which we have so freely received. Okay? And that's basically what I wanted to share with you, is that I pray that you will be able to have a conversation with God and ask him to open your eyes, as I am asking him to open mine, on the various ways that I have been blind to the things that are around me that I need to be able to do. How have I not been more like him, that I will be more focused on expressing the love that I have received to others, that I will not be satisfied with just being a recipient, but that I will be a giver of the same love and opportunities and privilege that my relationship with Christ gives me, that they may also come to a loving relationship with Christ just as I have. Thank you, and be blessed.